Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk. I'm Brennan Malloy and the co-owner of the House of Compassionate Gratitude. And today I want to talk about friendships and our connections because they've been so very, very much in our sphere right now with everything that's going on, the quality of those connections. Before I do, I'm going to encourage you, as I'm going to do, to click the little link up below this video that says start a watch party. And I'm saying that as I look for mine. There we go. So it looks like a little popcorn button, and then next to it, it says start. And if you do that, more of your friends and family and all of that will be able to see this video. And I would really appreciate it. And I hope there's some good information for them. So I'm actually going to start this watch party on my business page today to shake it up a little and do something a little different. I'm going to turn it down so we don't hear it and get that feedback there. So please do that so everybody can get the information too. So there's no way around it. We have been in this, we're calling it self-isolation, right? Since the middle of March, we've been asked to stay clear of those who don't live with us. So those people typically fall into the more friend or extended family category, right? There's people too who had them, like their kids that don't live at home or something like that. So there's those connections. But I want to talk today about the energy of the connections because when you are separated from something, it is often a call for you to evaluate your feelings about it. And of course, if they're your kids, you still love your kids. If it's your siblings or what have you, I hope you still love them too. But the point of this is to look at those who you may have or may feel you have a little more control over the connection, right? So the friend zone, that's what we're talking about. The people who we choose to interact with. Now, we could argue and get real deep and say we choose to interact with everyone we interact, but for the purpose of today, I'm going to talk about the conscious choice where you respond to the text message and say, yeah, let's get a cup of coffee. So we haven't been able to do that. We've been communicating like this on FaceTime, on Zoom meeting, by text message and instant message and Instagram and all these things. So those connections don't feel oftentimes as strong as when you're talking in person. So again, we have been separated so we can feel the energy. We get a better perspective. It's easy to hang out with someone when you're having a good time, or when you feel needed, or you feel valued, or you're bored and you don't have something else to do on a Wednesday. Okay, so it's easy to hang out with anybody those times because I like to have a good time. I like to go listen to music. I like to go for a walk on the beach, and we can fill the time with, in some cases, anybody. And that this isn't meant to be a disrespectful conversation. This isn't about people being good people, bad people, what have you. This is about discussing the energy you feel with your connections now that there's space, now that there's more room to evaluate it without the distraction of the doing. Okay, you're not doing something with many, many people right now. And as we start to go back into doing things with other people, it is the pivotal point for you to evaluate who do you want to be doing stuff with? Who do you want to be spending time with? Do you miss? Is it about the cup of coffee and the Starbucks and the sunset and what have you, or is it about the human being that you're sitting next to? This is what I'm asking you to evaluate because it's really important that we evaluate who we want to spend time with because those are the values we're surrounding ourselves with, that their energy we're surrounding ourselves with, their views, their intelligence. If it's in the same fields as yourself, do they stimulate you intellectually, spiritually, emotionally? We're being asked to look at these things. And you might say, well, why do you think that? Aren't all people good people? Like, shouldn't we be loving everybody and enjoying everyone? Absolutely. This is not a judgment zone. This is an evaluation for you and your energy. Okay? If there's behaviors or habits or thought patterns in your circle of the people you choose to spend time with that don't line up with your values and thought patterns and wants and needs in the world, there's something to be said for that. There's something to be evaluated there. Okay. We have to choose the quality. We're going back to like, I remember like late grade school, early elementary school. My mom had to talk with me about you are who you hang out with. You're judged by that. I'm not asking others to judge you by who you hang out with. I'm asking you to judge you. Because it's one thing if you have friends' views who differ from yours in a stimulating way and you're able to discuss it and respect it. And then there's another part of it when you have friends with views or actions or what have you that completely don't resonate with you. They don't stimulate you. They have a negative impact on how you're feeling and your behavior and your thought patterns. And now that we've had time to be separate from them, we're more able to look at this and decide, do I want to invite that back? That's where we're going with this. We've had a separation. We have time to review and decide, what does this mean? Again, not from a judgment place, but from a healthy, energetic, emotional standpoint. Okay. That's where we're looking at these connections, these friendships from. And now that we are starting to loosen our restrictions here in the United States, do I want to invite those people back into my sphere? Do I want to invite them back out for Starbucks because we stimulate each other intellectually? You get me to think deep and have great thoughts and sometimes even change my mind. Do I respect you and you respect me enough where you can change my mind in a healthy, productive way? Or do I feel drained and exhausted and like I was just with negative Nelly and everything in the world is crashing in around me? Because that's not a great feeling. And I know we all want to get back out into the world and doing things, right? Who do we want to do stuff with might not seem that relevant because we're focused on doing stuff and we're missing the point, okay? That's not the point of this. The point of this is to not just go do stuff. Let's use it productively and say, who do I want to do stuff with? How do I feel around them? Am I feeling encouraged and supported and loved and missed? Those are all the things we should be looking for. Or am I a space filler? Am I the person holding the cup of coffee and not an individual to the person I'm sitting with? Because that's not a growth habit. That's not a pattern of support and moving forward. That's sitting still. Now, there are some people that we are okay sitting still with, and that's fine, but do it from a conscious place. If you have a friend who does none of those things, you're not encouraged or supported or whatever, but you've been friends for 20 years and it's a friendship built on time and experiences and you don't feel negative and drained and you're consciously doing it. Maybe you don't have anything in common anymore. You have nothing to talk about but the good old days. That's okay. In fact, that's great in many cases because there's that time together, that history together. There's not a negative feeling. So it's okay to sit still with that person and enjoy a cup of coffee. That's fine. I'm working to get you to address the relationships that are unhealthy, that feel negative, that feel draining. These are words I hear. What do I do about my friend circle? I've been doing the self-work, Brennan, and now I feel like some people I'm around are negative. I feel like the energy gets sucked out of me. I can't take it. I want on my phone. Okay, hit ignore. Hit ignore. If they're mentally unwell, maybe provide some phone numbers for them to get better support. Okay, right? Like, because we probably have all had that friend who needs a little more support, and it's not just the kind ear we're providing. They need a counselor of some kind. Give the phone number, but you don't have to sit in the place of being drained and exhausted from something that's unhealthy. It's also important to notice right now. Oh, good morning, Jody. Good morning, Tanya. It's nice to see you both on here. Thank you. It's important for us to note right now the value system, okay? So I don't want to use words about current events and give it too much negative energy, but most of us have checked in with the news a little bit in the last week, right? And there are some things that are supportive and productive to move our world forward, to create a happier, more inclusive, compassionate culture. And there are some things that are really negative, hateful, and violent, okay? So if those feelings are part of your friend group and you don't align with them, what's the action you can take? Omit yourself. What am I really saying here? If you have a friend who is a judgmental, cranky, negative, innerly hateful person who's projecting that onto others, and that's not your value. If it's your value, there's another phone call we should be having and talking about something else. But if it's not your value to be negative, judgmental, condemning people, all those things, then maybe you shouldn't be spending time with them. I tell my daughter that. She's in high school. There's people making decisions and doing things and treating people in ways that we don't value, right? These are not behaviors that we find acceptable in our home and our family. We don't be around them, right? No, thank you. We don't need to be around that. That is your statement. That's your statement on inclusion and compassion. Don't be around people. Don't engage them. Don't support the behaviors of those who are not. And that's hard because that's friend circles sometimes, right? Sometimes that's family. And that's the truth. It is. We've got those. I'd be very surprised. I'm looking at the names here on my list. If any of you who've checked in this morning could honestly tell me that you don't know someone, maybe even in the family, who falls into that bucket. Okay? So we choose not to engage that. We might choose to tell them why, too, if they're particularly nasty about it. That's where I'm going with this piece. That's a statement for us. Who do we choose to be around? Now, maybe we're not talking about that. Maybe you're evaluating a friendship that's become very complacent, very negative. We'll only talk about your problems, no talk about moving forward. And because we've had, again, over 2 months, right? So March, April, May, of being home, not being around our friends, there's become a distance. We can absolutely start letting some of those relationships go. If you haven't seen someone in 2 months and you don't miss them, you're not a horrible person. It means that for some reason you've discerned that that relationship is not helping you grow and go forward any longer. That's okay. I want you to release the guilt that you have to be friends with everyone, and that the friendships that have the greatest value are the ones that are the longest. Okay, those are great. Got a few of those friends. We've been friends for ages. 10, 15 years, wonderful friendships, they're family. But there are some that are not healthy any longer. And this is the perfect time to evaluate who those people are, look within yourself and say, why? Is this me? Am I being judgy? Am I being negative? Or have they stopped growing with me, stopped moving forward, and now we're just in two different places? And again, this doesn't have to be a conversation like middle school of, I don't like you, lose my phone number. It can just be, I'm not inviting you to Starbucks this time. I'm going to start spending my time with people that are supportive of my future and my goals and my happiness and my joy. That's what we want to surround ourselves with, right? The future, happiness, joy, productivity. I read this post on Instagram a couple weeks ago that said to pay attention to your circle and the people who are not cheering for you. If there are people in your circle that are not cheering for you, they don't belong in your circle. They don't. Okay. Now they could be a family member, or maybe they belong at Christmas dinner, and that's okay. But they don't belong in your support circle if they're not cheering for you. If they don't have your back, if you can't trust them, they don't belong in that inner circle. They just don't. And now that, again, I'll come back to it, we've had months of not seeing, not physically seeing these people, not doing stuff with other people. Why start doing stuff again with people that don't support your growth, your development moving forward? And this is not an ego trip. This is not conceited, I moving forward and you're not. This is about self-preservation and personal growth. And it's a heavy topic this morning, and we tend to do these on Coffee Talk, but it's important. And I like to bring topics that have come up in my work to the table on Wednesday mornings. And this is one of them. This is a big one of them. And it's not just during COVID-19 craziness that this is a big topic. This is a big topic all the time. What do I do when my circle starts feeling uncomfortable? You change the circle. In order to make room for new people in your circle, sometimes some other ones have to leave. A friend of mine told me, she calls it her trolley. Some people get on the trolley at the stop and some people get off. You can't just always have people getting on your little train of life, because eventually that train is packed. You know, take the T in downtown Boston. It's packed sometimes. Some people have to get off. And that's okay. Sometimes they just move to the back cars. They sit quietly. Maybe you have a fancy train that's going across country and there's dining cars and you've got people that you want to dine with and do stuff with, and that's okay. And then other ones are in the back. They didn't really get off yet. They're just kind of along for a little bit. Some people get off the train and then get back on the train a couple years later when things have changed. One of the hardest things about not engaging a relationship, a friendship, a connection is the change of it, right? I always have coffee with her on Sunday. That's what we do once a month. Every month, one Sunday we go out for coffee. But I come home feeling exhausted and drained, and those negative words that we stick on there, right? Maybe we don't need to go back to that. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's just like, hey, how you doing? I really, Sundays have changed for me. I don't have time for that anymore. That's okay. I don't have time for that this week. I don't have time for that for the next couple months. Give yourself some time to evaluate it. That's what it is. And now you've created space for somebody new, something new, maybe some new self-improvement activities, maybe some things with your family. You've created room. When something leaves a space, something else gets to come into it. So I'm holding my coffee cup and it's nice and warm. It's lovely, right? It says Joy. It's actually Kai's. But it's filling my hands. I can pick nothing up like this. I need to let go of it to put something else in my hands. So I put it down and now I can pick up my phone. Some of us are great multitaskers, right? We can do this. We can have two going. But at some point you have to put one down. Now my hands are completely full. I can pick nothing up. I'm not sure I could even answer the phone. I could take a drink. But you have to put something down to pick something else up. So if you want different energies, different people in your bubble, in your coffee talk, you have to make room for them. Somebody has to scooch over. Somebody has to leave the group sometimes. This is, again, I'm going to come back. It's not a judgment. This is not a bad thing. This is not saying I don't like you. This is saying that we're not currently helping each other grow and move forward. And in my work, we are always talking about releasing, understanding, growing, and moving forward. That's it. That's how lessons work. We integrate the lesson, we understand it, we acknowledge it, we release it, we grow, we move forward. And that includes people, it includes habits, it's thought patterns, it's work, it's all of those things. And today I want to talk about the people, because Virginia is moving into phase 2. Feels like some sort of weird math algorithm, something. We're moving into phase 2 tomorrow. So more people are going to gather in groups. We get groups of up to 50 people after tomorrow. I'm so excited about that, right? Do some more gathering. But who's coming to the gathering? Who's coming? Are you inviting somebody to the gathering where the other people are going to go, oh God, you invited them? Really? Really? You invited them? That's a sign, right? That's either a sign that who you invited is a little rough, and that's where we have to do the work, or the other people that you're telling maybe aren't as supportive either, okay? So look at these things. Take some time with it. I'd love to know your thoughts. If there are specific scenarios, because again, this is very vague, very general, because this is coffee talk and I can't get too specific. But if you have a particular friendship that you'd like to understand better, if you'd like to know the karma of it or the connections or where the growth opportunity is, or even why it was important at one point and it's not now, give me a call. Send me a message. We can talk about it. I'm happy to get personal with it on that level. If you like the intuitive side of my work, I have a great spread that's really good for a snapshot of a relationship and understanding what we're learning, what we're giving each other, what we're receiving from the relationship. Relationships need to be give and take. They need to be ebb and flow. The energy needs to move. The energy needs to flow in a friendship. You can't always be the listener. You can't always be the talker. Hey, that's me. Sometimes I have to shut up. I want you to really pay attention to this morning. I want you to make yourself a list of the people that maybe you're going, oh, do I have to answer the phone? Notice it. If it rings and you go, oh, not right now, that's something. Maybe you need some space. I'm like that at night. I'm not the greatest person on the phone in the evening. I need my space. I need my quiet time. That's not on the people calling me. That's on me. But it's an opportunity to notice it, right? If my phone rang right now, other than talking to all of you, and it was a person that I went, oh, do I have the space for that right now? Do I have the energy for it? That's a sign. That's something to pay attention to, okay? Either within yourself or within the connection. So I am not seeing a lot of questions, but I see lots of you joined. Good morning. Good morning, Stephanie. I'm glad you joined too. I see lots of people joined this morning. Not everyone is saying hello, but that's okay. We have bashful people, that's fine. But please feel free again to share your comments, share this video. You can message me, call me, text me, any of that's fine, especially if you want to set up something where we can talk about a particular relationship, because that's the point, is to drill down on the individual relationships to see, is there a pattern to my friendships? Am I losing 5 people out of 10? So there can be a lot of work and a lot of growth opportunity when you look at your network. Okay. And if that's actually a good point, that some of us don't have a network. Some people might feel right now like they're in a space where they've done all the releasing and all the people have moved on. They're gone. And now we're going, who's my network? Who's my circle? We're in the middle of a pandemic and I don't know how to meet people. That's some work too, right? You've cleared the circle. Now you've got to start thinking about, what are my interests? What kinds of people do I want to attract in my life? Where's my soul family? You got to put yourself in the situations to meet people that are like-minded, right? So, you know, if you don't like baseball, you might not make the best friends at a baseball game. Maybe you will. But if you like baseball, a baseball game is a great place to meet people. Joining a team is a great place to meet people. Going to a club where they watch the game, great place to meet people with similar interests. If you want to have more spiritually empowered conversations about the energies of the world and soul growth and all of that stuff, go to meetings and groups and gatherings where people have these conversations, right? Look up the keywords, search it out on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Google even, I don't know. But that's how we refill the circles. We start looking at what are our interests. And oh, that's one point I don't want to forget. Not just our interests as they've been historically, but you've got to look ahead and say, where am I going? Okay. What people do I want to be inviting? What energies do I want to be inviting in my life going forward? Okay. So just because, so again, like somebody's been in your life for a long time, or you've always liked baseball and now you don't anymore, that doesn't mean you drag it along with you. It doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. It means you start looking at going forward. So when you look at a connection with somebody and the energy is, we've always been, okay? We've always been friends. We've always done this. Or it might be, I really love who they used to be. I really love what their potential is. Those are really rough statements right there to me, okay? Because I can be in love as a friend or what have you with somebody and who they used to be 20 years ago. But if they've grown and changed into somebody that doesn't resonate with me anymore, there's something there. That's something to think about, right? As we all age and grow up and become our future selves, our values and our beliefs and our needs, they change. And good friends will always be supportive of that. But that doesn't mean they will always engage in that. So we just need to make sure we're spending our time and our energy with people who support that moving forward, healthy, happy, joyful, attitude of moving forward, of keep going. You're not dead yet, right? You're still here. Let's fill the time with people who are excited that you're still here and want to move forward and make plans and do new, wonderful, amazing things that align with your values, your energy, and your ideals. Okay. Thanks so much for joining me this morning on Coffee Talk. I hope that you got something out of this. I'd love your feedback. So again, please reach out to me if you want to share that. Thanks again. Have a great day.